With the success of The Mandalorian and the new Stagecraft technology, it looks like more shows on Disney Plus will be using this in the near future. Let's talk about that right now. Hello everybody and welcome back to Joker's Movie Network. I'm your host Joker, and today we're discussing the Stagecraft technology and how it is going to be used in the upcoming Disney Plus series, Kenobi. So for those of you who are unaware, the Stagecraft technology is this giant 360-degree display of a digital screen that you put around sets, and it's supposed to light up backdrops such as the horizon line, skyline, the sky above you, or just simply like mountains in the background, or any kind of stuff that you can't really physically make, or if you can't shoot on location. And to the shock of everybody, including myself, with The Mandalorian Season 1 being such a hit, everyone was wondering where they were shooting. Were they shooting on location somewhere, or was the whole thing done by green or blue screens? Turns out it was none of that, and it was all simply on set the entire time. And for each scene in The Mandalorian, I really thought they were shooting on location the entire time, which was shocking considering I know the show didn't have as big of a budget as most major blockbusters do. However, as it turns out, none of it was shot on location anywhere and was all shot on set using this Stagecraft technology. And when you look at some of the behind the scenes footage and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that's been put on Disney Plus talking about the making of The Mandalorian, it is insane to see this. It's just this giant 360-degree display that shows the background, and it matches up perfectly with the painted backdrops of like the skylines and mountains in the backgrounds for all of these desert locations, which I thought at points was actually shot on location. The episode where he goes to Tatooine, for example, I thought maybe they really did go back to the Tunisian desert to shoot some of these scenes, or potentially even Death Valley. And it turns out none of that was true, and it's just all digitized in the background, which is crazy because it looks so real. And in using this technology, I think it's going to bring out better performances from the actors on screen, as well as a better experience for the actors on board. And now that we've confirmed through Ewan McGregor himself that this Stagecraft technology is going to be used in Kenobi, I think we're really going to see a performance unlike anything we've really seen from Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. In an interview with Ace Universe, Ewan McGregor was talking about the upcoming Kenobi series and how they were going to be borrowing the Stagecraft technology used in The Mandalorian to film the Kenobi series. In the interview, he said, "I think I'm going to enjoy it much more. The prequels were all blue screen and green screen, and it was hard to imagine. But nowadays, I think things have moved on so much, and I think a lot of what you see is going to be what we see on the set." He also went on to say, "I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes of the Mandalorian series, but they employ that incredible screen. It's pretty amazing. It makes you feel like you're in the place. It's going to feel realer for us as actors, and I think we'll be using some of that technology on our show." And with that confirming it, that's enough for me, and I'm excited about this because we saw what Tatooine looked like in that one episode of The Mandalorian. I thought it was real, the lighting was amazing, and using this technology is the perfect way to go. The reason is if you look back at the prequels, we all know they suffered a lot. They're not that great. It was too much CGI and too much green and blue screen that really took away from the performances. Which is exactly what happened. When you put a bunch of actors on screen, interacting with people that aren't there and there's just a blue or a green wall behind them, you can't really get a whole lot out of them. And because of the lack of sets that they had that were practical, the lack of acting ability you got out of everyone that was on screen, thus resulting in a very poor Star Wars film in total. Now, yes, I grew up with the prequels and I have a special place in my heart for them, but I can understand the technological flaws that they have when I'm watching these films, especially with episode 2 and episode 3, since a majority of the scenes filmed were completely digitized and none of it was actually real or practical. Of course, there are some things that you physically cannot do. The planet of Mustafar, for example, had a practical set, but it was a miniature set and it was only used for faraway shots. Everything close up, including the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin, was completely green screened the entire time. So it's kind of like crazy to watch this, because if you look at these behind the scenes shots of the fight, they could easily just be going blind just by staring at green screens for the entire time. It's ridiculous. Especially with Natalie Portman talking about how it sent her into a depression being on a green or blue screen set, talking to a character that's not there, and you're talking to a tennis ball on a stick. That's the placement marker saying, this is where the character is going to be standing, interact with that, we're going to add the character in later. That's a little hard to do, and it's ridiculous. And even in some of the bigger budget films, especially in The Rise of Skywalker, they even tried to go around this. Specifically when they're in Pisana and they fall into the sinking fields and they end up finding that giant serpent creature. It was actually a practical effect that they had to make so it would make it easier for the actors to act with something on screen. They tried doing it without one and they realized that the performances just weren't there because there was nothing there to react to. They couldn't be physically scared of whatever creature was in front of them, so they had that put in there and it made the whole thing better. Now, I like this for two big reasons. One thing is that it's going to make the performances a whole lot better. When you're looking at the Mandalorian sets, the whole ground level and everything within reach is practically built, and then the surrounding areas is what's on the Stagecraft screen, which looks pretty real to me. And if the actors can see it the same way we're seeing it when it's actually put out on Disney Plus, then obviously they're doing something right. The stage is set in such a way that the actors feel like they're actually on location, as well as everyone filming the scene. Everyone is surrounded in this 360-degree angle, so the camera's in there, all the lighting is in there, everyone is in the world filming as if they're on location. Another thing about this that I think is going to be very helpful in the long run for the studio is that this is a cheap thing. Obviously, I don't know exact pricings, but if what they say is cheap compared to what we say is cheap, probably two very drastically different numbers. But I guarantee it is so much more cheaper to have this technology in a studio where you can just use it there, as opposed to making sure everyone has what they need to go fly to location and shoot there for X amount of weeks instead. Guarantee it is much cheaper, and they save so much money in the process. And if they can pull off the same look around an area as they can in set as opposed to on location, why not go with the cheaper route? Especially since this is a TV show. It does have a very limited budget. Sure, that budget can get bigger over time as it gets renewed for other seasons, but the thing is that you got to work with what you have. And if the actual effects of the show suffer because you spent so much money shooting on location to give it a more real environment, that may end up with the show having a lackluster feel, and it's not going to look great as a final product. Another big thing is that it looks better than blue and green screen effects. Yes, there are films that can use this and it looks totally fine, just like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, with a lot of the spatial sequences being shot on blue or green screen. That makes sense. But in cases like the prequels, where they used blue and green screen and a lot of it looked very poor at a lot of times, then coming over and using the Stagecraft technology and being able to make everything look fantastic, why not go with that? I mean, it certainly fooled me the entire time. I thought a lot of these were on locations. I thought that was interesting, especially when he was talking about the first two episodes, because I was like, man, they're shooting like really close to dark. They must have had very limited time to film, since every scene they were shooting in was a very dark, almost dusk type time of day. But using this technology, they're able to control the lighting around the scene and on the actors' faces, so they can give off the emotions and give off a performance that they would not be able to give off if they're just shining a light in their face in front of a green screen. So I think this is absolutely the right way to go for Kenobi, which is going to mainly be set in Tatooine, I'm fairly certain. And since we've already seen how Tatooine can look in a Stagecraft performance, I think we have nothing to worry about. And I think if Ewan McGregor says he's happy with the design and how it's going to feel when shooting on set, then I have no complaints, and I have full faith in what is going to be happening with the Kenobi series once that comes to light. But until I get any more news on the upcoming Kenobi series for Disney Plus or the Stagecraft technology, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Remember, if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more videos on the Kenobi series and the Stagecraft technology, or if you'd like to see anything else. But until then, and as always, I will see you guys next time.